a comment, please feel free to go ahead and do that as much. Otherwise, you can save your questions till the end of my presentation. And I will try as much as possible to answer all that with the questions you have this evening. And where I'm unable to do that, I can take them on, and then I will definitely get back to you with an answer. So permit me to share my screen. I'm not very much tech savvy. Let me see where to do this. Okay, I think Zainab, you need to stop sharing your screen so I can do mine.
Okay, I'll do that.
Take over from you. I think I'll just take over from you.
Stop sharing. Is that fine?
I think I can just take over from you. It's fine. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the title of my talk today is Tech Jobs in Energy. The future is now. Well, the future cannot be further than where it is at the moment. So when you think about the energy industry is quite broad. Let me just put this in slide mode, sorry. Okay. So the energy industry is, it encompasses a lot of things. So you can think about energy in terms of production of energy, where you see the oil and gas goes to coal and other, aspect of it. And then you have other aspects like the emerging technologies with artificial intelligence and machine learning and power grid and all of that. And then you can also think about the storage, where you have areas around pipeline, around energy storage, and all that technology that encompasses all of that in the energy industry. As you all know, the energy industry is today undergoing a major transformation. I remember your president saying that. So of course, you cannot be left out in that transformation. So as a student, you need to prepare yourself. If you're in maybe 200 level, 300 level, 400 level, it is the right time for you to start to think, where should I fit? So don't be like me that goes from computer science to data telecommunications and end up doing a master's, even though they are related. But then I ended up being a researcher. So as I've said earlier, I'm just a jack of all trades, and at last, I'm not a master of any. So you want to set a focus. So you want to be maybe a data scientist, depending on your field, or you want to be a petroleum engineer. What aspect of petroleum engineering do you want to master in? What pays better, which is very important for some people? What does it come with? As a student, I know we are very much bothered about what kind of job pay more. For example, I want to work in the NMPC. I want to work in the Communications Commission, or I want to work in DPR, which is now NMDPRA, and all of that. But one thing that we forgot then was what will actually take us to that position, what will actually take us to that point where NMPC is actually looking for me to come and work with them, or NMDPRA have seen my CV and they just can't get their eyes off me. I just have to come and do to them. And this is what this platform is offering you today. So I will be able to just a little bit scratch on the surface of all the opportunities that are available within the energy industry. And then probably that will start to shape your thinking towards what you want to align with. So this transformation is driven by the need for cleaner and more sustainable energy sources, which my colleagues in NMPC don't really like to hear because we're dominantly on fossil fuels, and we don't want to think about green hydrogen or other forms of energy, renewables. You don't want to take what you're very comfortable with to something that you're not. But then in the future, definitely we have to align ourselves with sustainable energy sources. For example, we're experiencing climate change. We're experiencing a lot of issues that come up with carbonization of our climate and the environment and all of that. So of course, we have to align ourselves to a cleaner and more sustainable energy source, and that is what we are doing at the moment. Of course, when there is a change, it will come with a surge in demand for skilled professionals. So there is a need for skilled professionals in terms of new development, while older people that deal with kind of exploration and they are not equipping themselves with or aligning with new technology might probably get themselves dropped. And you don't want to be in that situation. So you want to start to plan your career in a situation where you continue to remain relevant and doing what you want to do. Okay. So as an introduction, the energy industry, as I said earlier, is transforming. The traditional energy industry is embracing digital technologies. We are seeing things around digital transformation, a new way of doing things, data analytics, giving more insight into what we are seeing from our historical data, and a lot of other things. So the energy industry is quite transforming. There is a rise in data science. So a lot of data is being generated from so many of our activities. Even us being on this call this evening is generating a lot of data. For example, how many people, if I decide to put that into research, I could say how many people are actually listening to what I'm doing, or how many people are actually on this call and they're actually attentive, or how many people are using maybe their mobile devices. So you can think about all of that. And there is a rise in data science. So what can this data do for us? People are becoming more, inquisitive about what data is saying today, including historical data and what data we're generating every day. So of course, data science and artificial intelligence are playing a crucial role in the optimization and energy production, how we produce energy and how we consume it, including how we even store it for future use. Just to remind us, artificial intelligence, which we usually call AI, is just that part of, is a branch of computer science where we try to make computer systems mimic, the behavior of humans, and they use data to do all of that. So when you think about the machines using data to learn something and implement it, that is called machine learning. So machine learning is only an aspect of artificial intelligence, and I know a lot of people kind of mix the two words. They don't know the differences. So if we are going away from what we call fossil fuel and migrating into renewable energy, there are certain sources to renewable energy. Today in our houses, when you pass some of these buildings, you see solar panels on the roofs, and maybe somewhere, I'm not sure if I've seen any in Nigeria, but when you're traveling across the United Kingdom, you see a lot of windmills, which is what I have on my image here. So you see a lot of, this large windmills generating electricity. And on my right, you could see the solar panel just on top of this roof. So it's tapping energy from the sunlight and it's saving it onto the panels, which can then generate electricity for our use. So when all of these things happen, there is obviously a need for skilled professionals. So skilled professionals that could produce this, skilled professionals that could, work on producing more energy, like batteries. Today we see the likes of Tesla and other, electronic vehicles coming into play, and sooner everyone is scared that probably at some point in life we will stop to see petroleum engine cars or stuff like that. So there is growing need for skilled professionals that will manage this new development and this transformation as well. So of course there is what we call the energy industry's digital revolution. So by digital revolution, we're thinking about emerging technologies here. So we're thinking about what, in terms of at every value chain, within the value chain of energy industry, what can digital systems actually do? What are digital systems coming in to do? What are they changing? This transformation is driven by advancement in technology. Of course, we're seeing a lot of technology today. It's easy for everyone. Probably some are in Kaduna, some are in Zaria, I'm in Abuja, and I'm talking to all of you. That is advancement in technology. We've seen issues around data analytics. People can see the performance of student based on certain factors. So you're analyzing data of student based on certain factors like maybe attendance, performance, and all of that. And then, of course, we are seeing how artificial intelligence is doing a lot of wonders. So, for example, I can pick my phone and say, Siri, can you call Zainab, or can you call Ahmed, or can you call this? And automatically with NLP, which is natural language processing, artificial intelligence is able to recognize voices and do a lot of things. So a lot of digital revolution is coming up, and every day there are new systems coming in. And that's why when you're doing some certifications, you realize that you're going for, let's say in networking, you're going for CCNA from associate, you're going into a professional, you're going into expert, because these systems keep revolving, they are changing. So whatever career path you've chosen for yourself, you need to understand that that career path needs to evolve. It's no longer luxury that I graduated with maybe a 2-1 in chemical engineering or petroleum engineering, and I don't really care what is happening around the digital world. I'm comfortable. I know all the theories. I know all the background, so I don't need to bother. No, you have to understand what are the trends in your chosen career. What are the trends? So you can keep up with them. So of course, when we have a revolution in terms of the digital revolution, we'll notice a lot of change happening in the way energy is being produced. Maybe solar. Today we see batteries in electrical vehicles. We see a situation whereby you could transform a lot of energy, maybe sources and all of that. And how are we even consuming? We see artificial intelligence now. You can automate your homes. So when you're not at home, the electricity goes off. It's showing you how you can consume. And all these things are done by expertise in the energy industry and along the energy value chain. So that's why people are needed. And I can tell you this conversation is so timely now, because it will allow you to have an insight into where you can align yourself. So if we think about traditional energy companies, if we think about, let's say, the NMPC. So NMPC, let me just clear this myth. It's not just about oil and gas. It does every other thing along the energy value chain, or that's what we are trying to do. And NMPC is known for oil and gas or petroleum, but it extends far beyond all of that. We're into sustainable energy now, such as CCUS, carbon capture, utilization, and storage. These are all things that development and revolution around the digital industry is bringing to us. So these traditional companies are now embracing digital technologies because they want to improve their efficiency. They want to reduce the cost. So for example, if I go out and I leave my, let's say, water heater on, and I forget to on it, and my home is not automated by artificial intelligence or some kind of digital alignment, then probably I will spend the whole day at work and I'm consuming a lot of electricity. But then when my house is automated, it has some kind of digital revolution to it, new systems for development, then that can go off. And of course, I could save costs with that. But this is just a minimal cost on the home front. But in terms of industrialization, there is more to kind of reducing costs in terms of adapting to digital revolution. And that will enhance our sustainability. We continue to make our environment greener, and the utilization of sustainable means. Okay, so this shift, of course, is creating new opportunities for innovation for how things can be done. New things are coming onto the market. For example, it started with I remember the water heaters before. When you on them, they remain on, but now after a while, once the water is heated, I think there is a thermostat into not even the real modern technology ones, but you could hear sometimes the click in the water heaters going off. So there are a lot of opportunities and innovation coming up, and this will in turn create jobs. Okay, but then there are jobs, but these jobs will need skilled individuals. I have friends that are resident in Nigeria now, but they're working in the US, they're working in America, they're working all over the world. But because technology and digital revolution have brought about this means where you can work from anywhere, and I assure you, if you're skilled enough, they will come looking for you wherever you are, and you can work at your own means. So imagine a situation where you give your employer your terms. So yes, I know your office is in America, but if you want to buy my skill, I want to remain with my family in Nigeria, I can visit the office every 3 months. And I show you some employers are even ready to pay for that. Okay. Before coming to RTI, I was a postdoc in University of Manchester. But when RTI invited me to come to Nigeria, I'm being paid as not a Nigerian, but somebody that has been poached from another country. So I enjoy both, being at home and earning as somebody that is coming from another country. So that's what skill can offer you, okay? And that's what we're discussing today. So let's look at the role of data science in energy in the energy industry. I'm not sure if that's why I wanted this to be an interactive session, so I could just maybe see your faces and ask some questions. For example, how many of us know what is a predictive maintenance? So how many of us, for example, have heard, or let me just rephrase this question. When was the last time the Nigerian grid collapsed? Yeah, so probably the Nigerian grid have collapsed maybe twice or 3 times in the last 2 months or thereabout. And there were even instances where it was collapsing every week. Now, if we have predictive maintenance in place, then it should be able to tell us when we need to maintain some key equipment so that we can either eliminate downtime. So situations whereby, because we have to shut down and close and do maintenance, we can stop that, okay? So data science, it's allowing us, so we can see when our machines or our equipment are performing optimally, and then when that when their efficiency is reducing, then it can also prompt us to say, okay, so component needs a maintenance. So imagine a system that tells you when you need to maintain. Some cars now do have it. So for example, when you go to service your car, you can last for up to maybe 6 months and thereabout. And when it is time for you to, reservice again, the car will prompt you. So similar to that, that's predictive maintenance. So with data science, because you're accumulating data on the usage of that car every day, it's actually using what it learns from that data to predict equipment failure, and that will reduce downtime. And of course, it will save you the cost of repairs. Because when you have to shut down, imagine if you're a production facility, you have to shut down for repairs, then during that shutdown, you are losing a lot of money. Okay.
Sorry, excuse me, sorry for
yeah,
cutting you off. Your slide is
no
like still
problem.
stuck on the first page.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me see.
Can we like have a glance at the rest of the pages, if that's fine?
Yeah, let me just tell me if you can see it now. Can you see my second slide?
Okay, yes.
Okay, so let me go back to slideshow. Can you see it now?
No, it's still on the second slide.
Okay, so probably if I leave it like this, will that be okay?
Yes. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
So if I go on can you see the third one now?
Not yet.
Yes, we can see the
Yes,
third
we can
one
see
now.
the third one.
Okay, so I think we're on the fourth slide, right? So can you see the fourth slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So probably I will have to do it this way. I don't know why, but let me attempt to put it on slideshow again. Can you see it?
It's not showing in the slides too.
Oh, okay. So let me just stay on this, right? As long as we can
Yeah,
see
I
it, okay?
think just move on with this. This is okay.
Okay, if you can see, okay. So well, if you couldn't see my slide, but I'm sure you could hear me loud and clear, right?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, so I've talked about this second slide on the introduction, and then I've talked about the energy industry, digital revolution, and now I'm on the role of data science in the energy, right? Okay, so can you confirm you can see the slide now?
Yes, sir, we can see the fourth
Okay,
page.
so yeah, okay. So I'm just talking about the role of data science and energy, and I was discussing about predictive maintenance. And secondly, I was just about to speak on optimization when Zainab said they couldn't see my slide. So you want to optimize your energy production, you want to get the best out of it, you want to get the peak, and you want to be able to distribute optimally. So these are all roles that data science can do for you, because you know the rate of consumption, you can always see it, and then you can analyze it. I can tell you one of the very important skill that is being sought after today is data science, because as you are aware, a lot of data is being generated from so many activities. In fact, from every activity that we do now, and people want to see insight into that data. So what can that data give to us? What can that data tell us? can we use that data to predict the future? Because it's historical data, so we are collecting it every day. So we want to see what, let's say, for example, I collect data over 1 year. So I can use that data to predict maybe my sale if I'm a salesperson. So I can say, oh, in July, I make the most of sales. So I can now integrate that into other factors and say, okay, next year, July, I should be making a lot of sales because it's summer and people are on holidays. So that will allow them to visit the shops more often. Okay. Additionally, you want to see your consumer insight. You want to see how consumers are using their energy. I know all of you are now in school, so you might not maybe pay attention to your consumption on energy, but at least you know your consumption on data, because that's something you use every day. In fact, that's something you're using now. So, for example, maybe Zainab uses 50 gig of data in a month, and Ahmed uses 60 because he's the president and he needs to interact with so many people. He needs to send information across and all of that information. Or somebody like me, I use maybe just 5 gig of data because I usually don't use my phone that often. And when I'm at work, I'm on the Wi-Fi of the office. So things around that. So you want to see that usage. So if I decide to see what am I actually spending more data on, so these are all the roles of data scientists and all of that. In terms of market analysis, which is very important, people want to know their sales. People want to know why they are not making much, or why they are making less, or why they are making too much. So what are those factors? So you need to do some market analysis, and that's what data science can actually do. And this is the role that it will do in the energy. So if you are working in a disco, for example, or energy distribution company, or within NMPC now that we have Dangote refinery and we have the Port Harcourt refinery coming up, in the nearest future, we want to see how is the Port Harcourt refinery doing in comparison with Dangote. What is the market analysis? Are marketers actually buying from us in comparison to how they buy from Dangote? What are those factors that influence what they do for us? So these are all things that data scientists can actually do. So it doesn't limit you to what you can do, but it gives you so many opportunities as to the role that you can play. And very importantly, data can actually give us, because it gives you fact, right? So because it gives you that so much fact from the data, you can actually it can drive decision making. So in business or in industry, you want to see, why should I don't know, in one of your courses, whether you've done anything that has to do with trade-offs. So why am I using this component over this component? Why do I choose to walk to school rather than maybe use my car or take the bus? Maybe it could be cost involved, or maybe it seems that I want to do some exercises weekly and I need to walk, or things around that. So and that will involve, collecting that data. How are we collecting that data? How do you analyze that data? And then we can do some modeling and simulation where we integrate algorithms like machine learning that will learn from that data. And that then, when we have all of this in place, we can take actionable data. I know you're all more inquisitive, and then you're just asking, when are we going to see these jobs? When are we going to move from where we are a student to what? I will get to that. Okay, so I hope I'm not taking too long to explain, but I will, increase the pace. So very importantly, I put on this slide because every discussion have been around, renewable energy optimization, and that is only about energy efficiency, which is just getting the best out of energy. And then you want to do resource management. So for example, you're optimizing wind and solar power generation based on weather forecast. So when it rains, you might not going to get so much energy on your solar panels, but do you have maybe your wind turbines to, complement that? Or are you actually using the grid? So you want to predict the demand fluctuations for that and managing optimization. So what I'm trying to do and taking you on is that for you to start to, open your mind to the opportunities that can happen within the industry before we go on to the skills. Now, let's see, with all this that we have known now, what are those jobs that we can get in terms of data analysis? So you know what data analysis is now, but what can you actually do? I know in your mind now, what, the kind of role, or probably I think is the SP is a combination of so many students coming from different backgrounds, right? So the energy industry, is actually experiencing a surge in demand. From all we've discussed, you can understand that there is so many aspects to there are so many aspects of demand and data analysts that we can do with the data that's been generated within the energy industry. Now, just in 2025, okay, there is a prediction that there is an expected growth in data related energy jobs of up to 300,000. Okay, how many are we on this call? Maybe around less than 30 or thereabout, or around 50. So imagine there will be 300,000 jobs if we equip ourselves just in 2025, and this adds up every year. And that will be a 75% increase in the demand for data scientists in the energy industry. And that's projected yearly. 50% demand for data professionals with specific energy industry knowledge. So, for example, if I have knowledge on the artificial intelligence for energy, or I have data analytics in energy, or I have digital twin knowledge on energy industry or something like that, there is 50% surge in the demand for all of that. So if we look at this, we go from 75% in energy sector providing up to 300 jobs. So there is so much jobs available within the energy industry if you're looking at skills around data science and around that around other areas. But then we need to prepare ourselves so that we are equipped for when we apply for these jobs or when we're ready for these jobs. So now, very importantly, let's look at artificial intelligence and machine learning within the energy industry. I've explained what artificial intelligence is, and I've also told you that machine learning is only one aspect of artificial intelligence, where machines are trained from an existing data to be able to be intelligent and make predictions or make some informed business decisions using that data. We've talked about what predictive maintenance is, so I'm not going to go back into what that is. But then there are AI algorithms that analyze, sensor data, which you will see later in this presentation, to anticipate equipment failures, and that will reduce downtime and costs. We've explained that already. In terms of renewable energy optimization, AI is playing a role in terms of optimizing renewable energy, in terms of production, in terms of predicting weather patterns, so that we know when to use solar or when to use wind turbines or when to use the grid. So alternating between the different forms of energy sources and giving us the best. So if you're an AI engineer, you might be able to develop an algorithm that do this, and you can be, develop from the existing one that we have. We also have the smart grid management. We don't want our grid collapsing all the time. There are AI enhancers for grid efficiency, because it can allow us to know when there's going to be a likely downtime or the need for maintenance, and then be able to enable load balancing and optimization and energy distribution. So sometimes, when there is so much load on the energy, for example, when you on your generator set sometimes, and maybe you've left your heaters and your ACs on, and then the capacity for a generator is just about certain number, and you've loaded it too much. So if you have an AI algorithm that can actually balance that load for you, so these are things that AI scientists can do. In terms of oil and gas, we know exploration and production. Even within the oil and gas business, this is where the money is, because this is where you're bringing out oil and producing it. AI with artificial intelligence, it has helped to identify potential oil and gas reserve. In fact, the research that I'm doing at the moment with NMPC is focused on the, improving exploration target, where we can find oil. So with artificial intelligence, we could study a lot of data, geological data, and we could be able to predict, source rock. We can do source rock determination, and we can do total organic carbon evaluation. So this is one area that I'm very focused on, and I'm really interested in doing. Okay, so there are certain areas that you can focus on if you are going into artificial intelligence or machine learning or whatever emerging technology that you want to do. So it does not restrict you to one form of one form within the energy industry. You can be in the production, you can be in the storage, you can be in emerging technology, you can be in developing algorithms, and for every of those areas there are certain there are certain skills that you can develop and get a job towards that. Okay. So we have AI-powered smart grids as well. You can go into artificial intelligence. Maybe I'm a little bit biased with all this emerging technology because that's my field, but then there are other areas that you can look into, and then I will come into that as well. So here I'm just going to focus on careers that are within the AI and machine learning, for example, and maybe it's because of the topic. That's why I'm very much aligned to, because it's tech jobs, right? So technological jobs. So it's areas around emerging technology, because that's what is in vogue at the moment. So we've talked about this in terms of careers within artificial intelligence and machine learning. I've talked about what machine learning engineers can do. They could design, they could develop, they could train machine learning algorithms based on existing data for energy applications, different form of that, which we've discussed. And this kind of professionals are very critical in building predictive models. So as I've said, machine learning algorithms actually learn from the data. And when they learn from the data, they're able to foresee the future, or what I call predictive. They could predict what could happen based on what they know about, previous existence of the data, or previous functionalities, or previous happenings. That can be done. Predictive models can be built for energy consumption, demand forecasting. So how many people are going to be demanding for energy based on this, maybe on existing data. If I'm using 50 gig of data consistently over 6 months, and the machine is my algorithm is actually learning that this is what I spend most time on, then the algorithm will be able to say, oh, I spend more time on WhatsApp or Facebook or any other social media more than I spend on productive. I think there's a feature in iPhone that actually tells you your usage over the week, and then you start to wonder, how does it know I'm using all of this? But probably there is an embedded machine learning that learns from the data. So as you browse, it's actually taking note of where you're going, how long you're staying on those applications, and it's recording all of that. And I think it gives you some kind of summary at the end of the week based on your usage. So we have artificial intelligence data scientists as well that deal with the collection of data. So how you collect data is even very important. So people design how data is being collected, how that data is being analyzed, and that data can be interpreted into large data sets that can be used to develop AI models. So this can be, they will work with various data sources. So data sources can be from any of those factors, maybe from production data or storage data or technological data. Whatever data can be used and then embedded into some artificial intelligence algorithms, and that can be used to predict certain stuff, including sensor data, weather patterns in terms of renewable energy sources, energy market trends that will use to okay. And additionally, we have AI software developers, which are all, these guys are all coming from the tech industry. They translate these AI algorithms into real world applications. So all the applications sometimes we see within the oil and gas industry, we have automated processes. We have models that are being developed to improve efficiency and all of that. At the moment, I'm developing a software that can do source of determination based on well log data that is being used from the Kolmani field, and we've written a paper on that as well. So we're doing that software before. It usually takes about a number of days, to bring all the samples into lab, going through so many professionals, and before they could come into conclusion where this is the TOC content. But what we are looking at now is to actually use the data that is being generated from well logging, and we can actually use that data to predict the amount of the quantity of TOC within oil wells. And let me just use this opportunity to also say that sometimes people think they say it a lot, but I don't think that is the same on this platform. People think that emerging technologies will actually come and take their jobs. And then from that slide, maybe if I can go back to it, if people are taking jobs, then there is no way technology is generating 300,000 jobs in addition to existing jobs just in 1 year, right? So it actually gives you, as we've been discussing now, you've seen a number of opportunities that you can go into. You can develop applications. You can be a data scientist. You can be a machine learning engineer. You can be an artificial intelligence engineer. Even within artificial intelligence, you can decide to be within machine learning. You can decide to develop algorithms around NLP, natural language processing, or you can even decide to go into computer vision, where your machine can then be trained to make deductions from image data. So similar to what I did in my PhD. Okay. So let's look at careers in innovation. From the word innovation, innovation can be in different forms, right? So where I work now, they do research, technology, and innovation. So you can innovate something from, let's say, existing methods, but you're just bringing a new way of doing things, which is innovation, right? So you're bringing a new way of doing stuff. You're deviating from maybe things that are customary, things that we are used to, and then trying to introduce something. So in terms of innovation, if you're looking at career within innovation, the energy sector is actively seeking individuals with inventive minds. So someone can have just an inventive mind, and then they can manage that part of the energy industry, because the energy industry is transforming, it's evolving. So there is need for new ideas. So you can have a career which is quite simple, where you have an inventive mind. So you could bring this idea, and it makes a lot of difference from what is the norm. Okay, so there is an idea in being an innovative team member, where people sit down and brainstorm on ideas. There is another one on sustainable solutions, where you have engineers like yourselves and researchers they're pushing the boundaries of renewable energy. Now we're seeing cars that are running on hydrogen. We're seeing cars running on batteries. You just have a plug in your home. You charge your car just like you charge your phone, and then you can go out. You don't need to bother the long queues in the filling station. So there is that sustainable solution. Now, creating sustainable solution is not just enough, because all these solutions are evolving. So for example, now there are smarter grids, there are smarter batteries. For example, all the time when you buy your phone, they'll say, oh, the new iPhone 16 now, the battery lasts for 24 hours, for example, or the battery lasts for 12 hours, or the battery lasts for 8 hours. And there were times where you see large phones, because of the battery that they take. And now we are even having smaller phones. So you could put maybe 2-3 phones in your pocket, and no one will know that you are carrying a phone. So similar to that, sustainability solutions, and the boundaries within renewable energy, developing advanced technologies to energy industry, and very importantly for cleaner future in terms of environmental concerns and all of that. There are also careers around problem solving, in terms of innovation that thrives on collaboration and problem solving. So here we have all those engineers that are designing stuff. They are developing optimization algorithms, all those kind of problem solving. Why can't this twist this way? Why are we having rate of penetration when we're exploring oil? How can we do that? So there is all that careers around that field as well. And when you look at the digital technology in the energy sector, I've talked about the wind turbines, energy generated from this, how is it actually transported back into the grid? So there are, certain careers around smart grids, how they are being integrated, how renewable energy sources can be enhanced, how we can do data analytics, optimizing energy efficiency and sustainability as well. So this advancement are, of course, revolutionizing the way we generate, the way we distribute, the way we consume, and that paves the way for a more sustainable and resilient energy future. And in all of this, there are careers that are being generated, jobs are being generated, but it all depends on how ready we are when this opportunity knocks. So we have what we call IoT, which is Internet of Things within the energy sector. So IoT can be, smart sensors, they can be wearables, just like your iWatch or the one from Samsung, I don't know what's called. You can have enhanced efficiency by that, because that is generating data. You can do predictive maintenance. You can be somewhere and be monitoring, your facility. How is my oil well, performing? What am I getting now? Smart grids, IoT plays a vital role in the development of smart grids, which is enabling real-time communication and control. So I can be somewhere and I can manage, what is happening in my field or in at work. So these are all opportunities that technology provides within the energy industry as well. Zainab, am I on time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. So very importantly, we have the blockchain in energy. So blockchain, I know a lot of young people are going into Bitcoin. So blockchain is the foundation to which all this Bitcoin is actually being done. So what it does is that it enables it's just like a network of systems that is decentralized. So it doesn't have a central location, and it does a lot of it's been integrated into the energy industry today, not in Nigeria but in other fields like Saudi Aramco. And I also want to use this opportunity to tell you that do not limit yourself to NNPC. And I can tell you there are so many opportunities outside. It all depends on what you need to do, which we'll later see in my slide. What you need to do to prepare yourself for the opportunities that are out there. It doesn't matter whether you are in Nigeria or whether you're in anywhere. I could be in my village in Sokoto, but what matters is the skill that I have. I don't know if any of you have seen the book or read it, where Professor Pantami was saying degrees, skills rather than degrees. Is more about the skills. I am I'm actually inclined to believe that, but having gone through my PhD, I think degrees are important as well as skill. But in the technology world that we are now, actually what you are able to do is more important than what you just know, if that makes any sense. So blockchain is just decentralized within the energy. I think companies like Shell, Chevron, and Saudi Aramco are already integrating blockchain into their transaction systems. What that gives you is that people are not able to change systems. Okay, so change figures or do other things. So once it gets into the system, it's like an end-to-end encryption. So that's what blockchain does. It gives you this decentralized management of resources. So blockchain is being used along all the energy value chain in terms of integration. Recently I had something that's quite funny. Outside the shores of our country, in developed countries, people even are able to kind of steal from your grid. So people are able to take out from your electricity. In fact, it's even happening here in Nigeria. If you don't know, someone is using your smart meter and taking some of your units and powering somewhere. So before you know it, he must have done a lot of damage. So you could just wake up one day and say, "Oh, it seems like I'm consuming more, and I don't know why." And then you start to check the connection and start to see if your usage pattern has actually changed. So these are the things that blockchain can actually do for you. It kind of gives you that security about the end-to-end encryption of stuff. And that's why you could be in Nigeria. In fact, you could be in the remote place somewhere, maybe in Zaria. I call Zaria a village, even though my wife is from Zaria, but I call Zaria a village. So you could be in Zaria, and then you can actually do your Bitcoin trading with someone in the US, someone in Russia, wherever. Okay. So because that end-to-end encryption, and this technology is actually gaining grounds within the energy industry. So if you're an expert in blockchain, in all of these things, of course, there is a space for you in terms of renewable energy integration, in terms of smart grid management, or in terms of carbon emission tracking. In terms of sustainability and green environment, there is something with, when you can do what they call carbon capture, utilization, and storage, and then you are being paid for the amount of carbon that you are able to capture, so you don't allow it to be flared. Like gas flaring emits a lot of CO2 into the greenhouse gases, including methane, into the atmosphere, which will result in a lot of climate change. But if you capture that, people now or countries now can gain carbon credit, and this carbon credit are being paid through blockchain technology. So this is a promotion for the technology to grow, and as well, it's growing opportunities for the kind of jobs that can actually happen within the energy industry as well. So very importantly, now we go into, maybe this will be more interesting for you. What are those skills that you need for careers in energy? So what do you think will be, especially in terms of technology? Very importantly, data analysis, because we are generating a lot of data. So if you align yourself to, let's say, you're mastering yourself with data science, where you're able to, take data and do a lot of storytelling with your data, do a lot of data analytics and visualization that will enhance decision making quickly and gives insight into some problems. And you could see people now building dashboards, even in companies, in banks, in industries, and these are all result of data analytics. So if you decide to be an expert with Power BI, or is it Google Workshop or something like that? Those are tools for data analytics. So if you go so much and um, develop your skill in data analysis, of course, is one of the skills that is needed today for careers in energy. Secondly, you need to be able to be a good programmer. Programming in the sense that you have programming skills, maybe in Python, in MATLAB, in C++. All these are skills that are needed within the energy industry, because now it's all about technology. It's all about emerging technologies. It's all about what we can use computer to do, because everything revolves around digitalization and new technology as well. Secondly, domain knowledge, which I believe the your society, the SPE, provides for you. So you have to have the domain knowledge of the energy sector. So if you have the domain knowledge of energy, then it is very easy for you to actually think about what the kind of data analytics you will that will make sense, or the kind of software that you want to develop that will solve a problem from your domain knowledge. When I started my research fellowship in RTI of NMPC, and they wanted me to look at to do a research on how to improve exploration target, I didn't have the domain knowledge of the energy industry. So that means I have to either have a multidisciplinary team of people with domain knowledge, and then when I do my programming or my data analytics from what they have, I come back to them, show them the result of this data analytics in visualization, and actually rely on their domain knowledge to see if actually what I'm doing makes sense. Okay, so you can be part of that kind of domain, but very importantly, you need to have that domain knowledge. So your background knowledge, either in chemical engineering, either in petroleum engineering, either um, in geology, will give you an edge when you come to the technical jobs that are available in the energy industry, because the domain knowledge is the driver to what can actually be transformed in digitalization and technology as well. Another skill is problem solving skill that cannot be overemphasized. You need to have that innovative mind, because you need to go away from the norm. You need to just say, oh, we're used to doing things this way, this is how it should be. But that is not, such minds do not project you into the future now, because what is in vogue is how can you solve skills? How can you solve problems? So you need to have an innovative thinking that are needed to address the challenges. If you have a problem solving skill and you have a domain knowledge and you have any of this skill in data analytics or programming, then I bet you the sky is your limit. Only last 3 months, someone left the NMPC and took up a new job in Saudi Aramco. So because of the skill that he has, and that skill is being needed in Saudi Aramco. So you could say Saudi Aramco will advertise that job globally, but then it doesn't matter whether in Nigeria, what they're looking for is that skill set. Do you have the skill set that they are looking for? So if your dream job is just NMPC, remember that if you develop the right skill, you can go beyond NMPC. You can go to Saudi Aramco, you can go to Shell, you can go to Chevron. You can decide how much you get paid. And I think that is the ultimate. Zainab, how are we doing with time? Still on it? Yeah?
Sir, can we round up in 10 minutes, please?
Yes,
So we'll have
definitely.
time to take questions.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at educational pathways. As I said, referring back to Pantami's book, skills rather than degrees, that is not quite as important. So for example, your degree will give you a solid foundation, probably in computer science, or in data science or any of the energy system engineering, and that is very vital. As I said, domain knowledge. So your degree will give you that domain knowledge, that will help you. That is vital in pursuing your tech roles within the energy sector. Certification, you need as much certification as you can, and being in school shouldn't stop you. You can maybe take time off. You can study 2 hours, pursue a certification before you get your degree, because that will start to, align you with a focus, and then you can see what you are good at and focus on that. So and when you're doing the certification, please focus on industry recognized certifications, because sometimes when these jobs are being advertised, you will notice that they will be asking about on industry recognized certification. So things like AWS from Amazon, for machine learning, Google Cloud professional data engineer, Microsoft Power BI data analyst. All this will enhance your career prospect, and they will showcase your expertise as well. Very importantly, having certifications is not enough. You should be able to do hands-on. So you should be able to show that what your certificate says is what you can actually do. So try as much as possible, take on real scenarios, get your hands dirty, as they say. Practical experience will give you an edge on that. There are certain online platforms that you can learn. You don't have to go to class. You don't have to spend a lot of money. There are free online courses, online platforms like Coursera, EDX, Udemy. Even at PhD level, I still go back to Udemy and do some courses. There are certain things that you can sacrifice around, maybe some courses go for as less as 7,900, and they go stepwise to teach you all of this. So many of these things that the industry is actually looking for are not being taught in your classrooms. So there are things that you must develop passion for. There are things that you must invest your time in. There are things that you must be intentional about in learning them. But I tell you, once you learn them and you have that skill, you could be anywhere and you could land your dream job. Okay. So of course, there is challenges in energy technology careers, and which is skills gap. How you are able to integrate when there is an interdisciplinary collaboration. So, for example, the research that I'm on now, I have geologists, I have chemical engineers, myself with a background in computer science, and you could say emerging technology. So, how do you actually integrate into a interdisciplinary team to actually work? And that is one thing that is being looked for when people are actually recruiting for jobs. So because now all the systems are an integration of many systems to make one system, so you should be able to integrate very well with your peers, and how you're able to work with other disciplines as well. Funding and investment, we all know that that's a challenge in terms of funding. Even to do all these courses takes a lot of money, but please do as much as you can to take advantage of free courses that you can. Maybe if I can advise, the SPE can even, at some point, subscribe to Udemy, where you give your student access, and they can learn from there at intervals, maybe where you divide slot, so someone can study over time. For you to just get a certification on that, I think you just need to register with yourself after you've learned. But either way, even when you don't have that certification, as long as you've developed that skill, I bet you that is very important. There is rapid technological advancement. Every day, new things are being developed, which means we have to keep up building our skill. And that's why we have versions to certifications. You see someone doing AWS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. So because there is rapid technological advancement and revolvement around all of these things. There is a concern around data security because, of course, there is privacy concern and all of that. And of course, there is also regulatory hurdles that govern how these things are being used. So if we look at the future of energy in the multifaceted vision, you're looking at we need increased efficiency in smart grids and optimized energy use. We're looking at sustainable solutions. We're looking at technological advancement with AI, Internet of Things, and blockchain technology. And of course, there are new career opportunities. There is a growing demand for skilled professionals within the energy technology as well. I think I'm rounding up now. Just key takeaways from this. What I can assure you is that there is a high demand for skilled, and I reiterate, for skilled professionals. Um, there is the need for continuous learning because technology is advancing, it's evolving. There are new things. There are diverse skills that you can focus on. So many of skills differently in terms of artificial intelligence, data science, your energy domain knowledge. There are certain skills you can build even within your domain knowledge. You can be an expert in reservoir engineering. Even within reservoir engineering, there is certain aspect. So try as much as possible to develop that domain knowledge that you can extend to applying technological expertise on as well. Collaborative environment. If you no one is an island, so with knowledge you can integrate with other people, and you can actually succeed. So lastly, you can explore your career path, discover exciting opportunities within the energy sector. You need to upskill and reskill. So you need to, as you said, going from where you are as a student and then getting to where you want to be. So that is all about you upskill yourself and you reskill yourself. So it's not enough to have one skill and relax, because the technology, it runs faster, right? It's just like a Ferrari. So it runs as fast as it's cool. So you need to continue to learn. Network and connect, know as much people as possible. Let people understand what you're doing. Register yourself on LinkedIn and showcase what you're doing. So that way people can find you, and they can give you an opportunity for work. It's surprising that Zainab knows a lot about me without even asking me. So she knows all the schools that I've been to. It's only because she could get my information from LinkedIn. So once you develop this skill, try as much as possible to advertise yourself, and you'll be surprised when you get that call to say, are you willing to come work for us? So these are very important skills that you can develop and focus on. So to this end, let me once again thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to spend this evening talking to you, and sharing my experience with you, as well as giving you some insight in areas that you should be looking at in terms of developing a career in tech. Um, and what is actually evolving around the industry. Once again, thank you very much, and I appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation, sir. It was really, really nice. We had such an amazing moment. The highlight for me personally was how you balanced getting your education, getting your degree, and learning a skill. Because nobody lives here thinking, okay, I can drop out of what I'm studying currently and just go and learn data analytics probably and make a living out of it. So thank you so much for making a perfect balance between it. Now we all know our education is still important. That's currently where we are. And then the future has a lot of opportunities. So thank you, sir. You've really done justice to the topic. Thank you so much. We're going to head straight to the Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please raise up your hands and Abdulaziz will take over. Thank you.
All right, guys. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. So you can drop your question in the in message feature. You can use the in call messages feature, please, to drop your questions. Then I'll read it out. And if you wish to express yourself, you can raise up your hand, then I will just pick. Please, a question per person, please. Thank you. Please raise up your hand if you want to ask a question. Okay, I'll cast him. So I'll cast him. You can go ahead, please. Ask the question.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear. Go
Hi.
ahead, please.
All right. Good evening. Thanks for the insightful session, sir. I really appreciate it, and I've got to learn a lot, especially on the blockchain aspect. I knew about blockchain being a kind of encryption, end-to-end encryption, but I didn't really know that it's 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 going to extend to that space. So for someone that wants to go into the renewable energy optimization, where you are going to be doing renewable energy forecasts and you'll be using machine learning models and algorithms, um, what kind of advice are you going to give? Because the machine learning space is kind of big. The business oriented part is there as well. And for the energy space, it's also kind of big because you have the energy in terms of transportation. You have the energy in terms of power sector, where you're going to be generating, you're going to be producing, generating, and distributing your energy. And you also have the cooking part of the energy. So how are you going to like fathom out what kind of energy you can delve into, like you can specialize into, and which one is, how are you going to make your research on which one the ML machine learning industry are currently spon- are currently investment. Yes, thank you very much.
Um, okay. If you can hear me, thank you so much, Al-Qasim. I don't know if we're going to take all the questions or I'm just going to answer. I think it would be better if I answer the question as it comes, right? So, well, so as you've mentioned, machine learning algorithms, or in terms of renewable energy, if I get you right, you very importantly, what you want to understand is where do you want to, where should you focus on? So you've said your interest is in machine learning as well as renewable energy. So these are two key factors, right, that will govern or will kind of direct your choice, right? So in terms of machine learning, uh, of course, there are so many algorithms that are being developed with machine learning outside, and there is a purpose for doing all of that. And as I mentioned, um, for example, I did an exploratory research. So my exploratory research was I just compared so many machine learning models. So what works for this model might not necessarily work for that model, and it's quite difficult for you to say you're going to make a selection based on the model. Usually, the selection of a machine learning model comes from the problem. So, what kind of problem do you want to solve? Just as you rightly mentioned, is it for energy forecasting? So, if you're doing forecasting, there are machine learning models that are being used for predictive analytics. So what you want to do is that you want to learn that data and predict what happens in the future. And I can tell you, I can advise you on the route to take, right? In terms of, but one thing that have guided me is about everything, not just in terms of career selection. First is what are you interested in, or what guides your interest? Is it money? Do you want? Of course, everyone wants a very good paying job, but is it just about money? You need to have like just satisfaction which comes from your interest. So what are you most interested in? Is it in how energy is being generated, or is it in how energy is being stored, or is it in how energy is being transformed, or is it in how energy is being distributed? So once you align yourself to what you are most interested in, then it's easier for you to take what kind of route you want to follow in achieving that. So once you get into that, I think the most important thing for you is to focus on data analytics, because every of this aspect will come with a lot of data. And whether that data is going to be used for maybe for prediction, or it's just going to be used for decision making, or it's just going to give you an insight, or it's just going to keep tabs, some kind of showing you trends. It's all about data, okay? And this energy values or energy sectors will actually generate that amount of data. So focus on data analytics, and you should be able to do a lot of other things with it. So with Power BI, you can integrate machine learning. So you have a data dashboard, and you can integrate machine learning to do a lot of other predictive means, or you want to learn. Usually machine learning is actually used to predict. So based on the information that the machine knows, the machine tells you what will happen. Okay, so that's the main key. I don't know if that answers your question, Kasim, but to my understanding, yeah, that's how best I can go about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that. Al-Qasim, do you have a follow-up question, please? All right. Muhammad Buhari, please ask a question. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Muhammad Buhari, please ask a question. Seems like Muhammad Buhari is not on the call. Ahmadu, President Ahmadu, please ask a question.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Hello, good evening.
All right. Good evening, you can hear
Hello.
you.
Okay, let me let Muhammad take his question. All right, then let me take the question. So, sir, thank you so much for your time and your speech. It was really engaging and interesting. We heard you say a lot about data analytics, data security, and the likes. Currently in the world, everyone is discussing about cybersecurity because of the increasing rate of cyber attacks, which is usually based on data security. And we are currently having, I wanted to ask if do we currently have such issues of data breach in the industry? And is there a high need of cybersecurity experts too? Because I heard you say a lot of other careers like programming, data analysis, domain knowledge, and problem solving. But I wanted to know if we also have the need for cybersecurity experts too, and how high is it?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. I think I'm a little bit, or I was a little bit biased in terms of, focusing on where I have key strength on, even though I tried as much as possible to cut across all other fields. And I think in one of my slides, I made mention of the careers that I needed. I think towards the end, I just didn't kind of speak on it very much because then I was notifying me of time. But I think I remember in one of my slides I talked about data security and privacy as well. And I can assure you that is quite important in the industry. So if we are looking at the industry, we're not just looking at the industry in Nigerian perspective, but we're looking at the industry globally. There have been a little bit of certain, cases in terms of data theft, data compromise, even user data. I can remember something like this have happened previously in the UK. I can't remember exactly the details now, but where there is a theft of consumer data from one of the energy suppliers within the industry, and in this case, it's the electricity, where personal data of individuals was compromised. So of course, if that is the route you want to take, that can give you multiple opportunities, because there are opportunities in data security as well. But when you're talking about business wise or production wise, which is the key thing in energy. So in energy, the key stuff, like the main key stuff are how energy is being produced. So in oil and gas, like exploration and production, how energy is being, studied, how energy is being stored. So in terms of pipelines, smart grids, and all of that information. In this part of the world, I think such focus are usually based on that. So how do we increase our production? For example, Nigeria today, you at some point you hear the NMPC saying they've declared war on production, and you hear us celebrating maybe there is 1.8 million barrel a day capacity and all of that. So the focus is actually basically on production, on storage, on optimization, on improving efficiencies. And in this part of the world, unfortunately, we don't pay much attention in terms of integrity of our data, in terms of data theft and all of that. But I can tell you for sure that that is not to be looked to be shied away from. It's one very important aspect, especially in developed countries where they take personal information so seriously. In Nigeria, I haven't heard of any case of data theft. I stand to be corrected. I can check on that later on, but I haven't heard of so much of a case. But you know that, for example, let's say pipeline vandalization, crude oil theft in the Niger Delta, they make headlines every day within our the energy industry cycle of Nigeria. Imagine if Abdulaziz, for example, develop an application that checks oil theft, and Muhammad Buhari develops an application for cybersecurity in Nigeria, where it just safeguards our production data, for example, which is actually made public. Which of this application do you think will sell faster in Nigeria? So I'll leave that to you, but I'll check if there is another side to this. But I can assure you, cybersecurity is quite important. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, sir, for that. Muhammad Buhari, please, can you ask a question now? Muhammad Buhari. Okay, if he's not there, Sheximan, please just go ahead.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. We can hear you.
I appreciate the
presenter. Oh my God. Turning Queen.
Sadiq Shetima, please just go ahead. Ask your question.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Thank you for a very enlightening session on tech careers in the energy sector. My question is, you mentioned about predictive maintenance. Okay, now taking Nigeria as a case study, what is like the probability of integrating and utilization data analytics such as machine learning and algorithm to completely eradicate unforeseen power grid collapse or to reduce it to a bare minimum? And the steps taken to ensure that that happens using such technologies.
Thank you very much, Shatima, for that question. I will speak for what I know. So not in terms of grid collapse, but within the NMPC, I can tell you a lot of effort is going into so much of these technologies. So, for example, I was just saying during my presentation that we are working on automating TOC prediction using machine learning technique. So a lot of this is actually being integrated into the system as we speak. Only recently, there have been efforts to do a digital twin for the refinery, so people can actually sit at the comfort of their offices and then they can check what is happening within the plant, especially in places where people cannot go. Okay. For example, as I speak to you, we have a system where we've placed IoT on sensors on certain systems, and then from the comfort of our offices, we could monitor to the last liter that is in some at least around 30 filling stations. This is off the record, but 30 filling stations within the Abuja metropole, 30 NMPC filling stations within I think, is it within the country or within Abuja? So we can see how much. So a lot of these technologies are actually being integrated. If you remember, there were times when people rejected the smart meters. Can you remember that? So people rejected the smart meters, and I know people even paid for the smart meters not to be put into their homes. But today, nearly everyone is accepting that smart meter because there are guidelines to, how, technology is being integrated into systems. So later on in the future, it could be a regulation that such kind of systems need to be in place, even not for regulation, even to improve your efficiency, even to be able to control certain things. You need advanced technologies And that's why the right time for students to start equipping themselves in terms of digitalization and gathering all these skills is very, very important, because in the future, yes, you can have the domain knowledge, but how do you transform that domain knowledge to integrate with emerging technology? So I can tell you it's just a matter of time, but all these technologies that we've mentioned will actually be in place and they will be deployed in our own system. You will not believe it, but recently there was even a conversation around blockchain technology in the NMPC. So it's just a matter of time, okay? It's just a matter of time. All these technologies will be deployed and be integrated into the systems. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much, sir. All right, so we'll just go ahead and ask Fatima's question. Fatima says, good evening, sir. Thanks for this insightful program. What's the key difference between a data scientist and a data analyst? That's the question, sir.
Thank you very much, Fatima. That's a tricky one. English-wise, I will try to answer that question. So, a scientist maybe have an in-depth knowledge. So, scientists will have knowledge around certain things. Let's say, in terms of skill, a data scientist will have a combination of nearly everything. So, for example, a data scientist has the skill for maybe machine learning, to kind of play around with data using machine learning. He could be able to integrate analytics, right? He could be able to do Power BI. So a data scientist is a special person in terms of whatever concerns data. So maybe he has knowledge about SQL in terms of database management and developing, algorithms to do other things, to kind of play around with data, to kind of transform that data, to kind of do what we call the ETL and ELT, which is to load data, to transform data, to evaluate data, a lot of other things. So data analysis, it's only one of the things that a data scientist can do. On the other hand, a data analyst takes this data, put it into a system like Power BI, and then use visualizations like graphs and to communicate what that data is saying. And that is the limit for him. So English-wise, that's what I can say about that difference, okay? So with data scientists, there is nearly a little limit that the person cannot do with data. And when you look at the career part, there are certain things that a data scientist will develop his skill on to be a data scientist. With a data analyst, once he's able to, have knowledge around Excel, let's say Excel spreadsheet or Google Worksheet or Power BI, then I can, of course, call myself a data analyst as long as I can create story with that data. I'm not transforming that data, but I'm just saying a story with that data. A data scientist can transform that data, can load that data into a database, can query that data to make informed decision around it, and make a lot of other things with it. So a data scientist is more on top than what a data analyst is. I think, to the best of my knowledge, that's how I can answer that question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Fatima, I hope your question has been answered. So, Muhammad Buhari, I don't know if you can, if your network is stable now.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you for the.
All right, please go ahead.
I really appreciate the presenter. So my question goes like, what is the best, as in the first class certification or skills that are most demanding in tech professionals whenever you are maybe like seeking for job in energy industries or whatever? Thank you.
Muhammad Buhari, please, can you come again with the question?
Yeah, I think I had him, Abdulaziz.
All right,
Hello?
sir.
So if
can
I
hear
get
you.
your question right, Muhammadu Buhari, you're asking what is the best profession, or what is the most sought after career within the energy industry? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
The
All
skills
right.
or
So
certification.
thank you very much for that question. I really can't say this is the best career that is sought after within the energy industry, because one of the things, it depends on what is in demand. So if I'm recruiting for something, I'm always looking for if there is a skill gap, right? So what is it that I want to do, and I'm looking for that skill gap. So probably I might be looking for a data analyst, because I just want to know, I just want to be able to see my data, my structured data in a way. So I just want to see what is the trend in my data. That's all, right? Or maybe I want to use deeper algorithms, advanced techniques to check on that data. So I should be able to do ETL or ELT on my data. I should be able to develop predictive models, and I'm looking for a data scientist. Or maybe I'm just looking for an AI engineer that's able to integrate some machine learning techniques and advance it with a natural language processing or computer vision or something like that around that area. So it depends on the need as at the time. But one thing that I know for sure that goes even beyond um, the energy industry, and I've emphasized this during my presentation, is the fact that a lot of data is being generated all the time, right? So I won't limit myself to be a data analyst, but I believe that if I'm a data scientist, because there is the need for there is the need to be able to make informed decisions, there is the need to be able to get insight, there is the need to be able to utilize where we're coming from, that is using historical data to predict the future, then I will say you won't go wrong with developing your career path in terms of data science, because that will be all encompassing, right? So you learn artificial intelligence techniques, you will have the domain knowledge of wherever you're coming from, maybe geology or petroleum engineering, and you can advance that, to be able to tell a lot of stories and do a lot of other things with data science. I'm not being biased with this, I assure you, but I think you wouldn't go wrong if you develop a part in data science as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the answer. Our time is fast spent. So, Fatima, can you go ahead and ask your question, please?
Good evening, sir. Thank you for the insights. Sir, but as the world is evolving, machine and AI takes over most of the sectors in the world. Should machine also take over the energy sector?
Well, thank you, Fatima, for that question. Of course, yes, as they say, I wouldn't say machine, but I would say new technology is actually taking over everywhere. So, for example, there were times when we didn't see a lot of things. There were times when we didn't have discussions around predictive maintenance, around data analytics using, advanced algorithms like machine learning and artificial intelligence. Mind you, I said during my presentation that machine learning is only artificial intelligence is the umbrella, and machine learning is only one of the elements, if you like, of artificial intelligence. Of course, as I say always, it's only a matter of time. If it is not being embedded, it will soon be, even within our country, Nigeria, and everywhere. Yes, of course, these algorithms are dominating data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning. Of course, they are dominating not just the energy sector, they are dominating the telecommunications industry, they're dominating the home appliance industry. They're taking almost everything. And I assure you, the energy industry that is playing a great role with renewable energy, with diversification from fossil fuels and all of that. Then yes, of course, not just taking over, but they are supporting. I would rather call it like that. I always say it. So they will support in a dominating way, if that makes some sense. So they are supporting in a dominating way. So yeah, of course, they are taking over. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for the expansive answers. We really appreciate your time. So, Zainab, you now have the floor.
Thank you for that engaging session, sir. I'm sure we've all learned one or two things from the Q&A session. It felt like a whole new lecture. Thank you so much. Next up, we're going to have a closing remark by Binchi. Binchi, please go ahead.
Hi everyone. Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank us for taking time to be here. But firstly, I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Fodio Longman for joining us today and sharing such insightful advice. Your words have been both practical and motivating, and we're honestly truly grateful for your time and for your expertise. To everyone who has joined us today, I truly hope that you've taken away something valuable from this session, whether it's about embracing technology or building skills or charting your own career path. But let's not forget to also act on it and not just listen. I also want to thank you guys for engaging, like for staying engaged throughout the meeting, for your questions that have made the session even more interactive and worthwhile. Before we sign off, I want to encourage us to stay connected via our WhatsApp group, our LinkedIn, and please don't hesitate to like share questions or opportunities that you have as they come up. Remember that collaboration is key in the digital era. Thank you again for being here. Looking forward to future sessions with you guys. Do have a lovely night. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for that, Binchi. I think we can call it a day. Thank you so much, Dr. Fodio. We really appreciate all that you've shared with us, and I do hope everyone here has a restful night. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Can
for
we
having
get
me.
this
Have a good
here?
night.
Hello.
Yes, go on.
Yeah, you get.
Please,
Okay.
can we get the PDF of the presentation?
Yes, I'll share with Zainab. Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time. It was a very interesting session. Let's all endeavor to keep this conversation going. It doesn't end here. Let's engage ourselves and learn new skills. I think we're done. So thank you all for showing up. Thank you for coming here.